All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to yet another live edition of Let's Talk America with host Shana Thornton Radio Podcast. I am Shana, your on-air host and your executive producer for this award-winning program, and super excited to be with you here on a beautiful Sunday evening. It is Sunday, March 8th. We have sprung forward here in the United States, which means we lost an hour of sleep. We're going to gain more knowledge tonight on this program, and I am no expert at nutrition or health, but here we seek the best and the brightest, those advocates, those health experts, and tonight is no exception. I'm so excited to have. She is a first timer for this show, but not a first timer on the media circuit and sharing great information. She's written best selling books. She has been all over. I can give you her resume and CV. You would be super impressed, but so excited right now to have the one and only Danielle Pashko on with us. Danielle, welcome to our program.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being on with us from the beautiful city of Miami. Tonight, we're going to talk nutrition. We are going to talk a modern take on it. How exactly do we lose the weight, Danielle, and keep the weight off? To everyone out there listening, that's the magic question. And Danielle has some very helpful tips for us. She's also going to talk about balanced nutrition, where we're going to keep our energy. We're going to, if you don't have it right now, if you're sluggish, if losing that hour of sleep today kind of got you down, Danielle's going to talk about how to keep you re-energized as well. And for our working parents out there, or guardians or grandparents helping with the kids, Danielle is going to help keep us on track to make sure that we're choosing the right foods even when we get those hunger spurts. So I've said a lot, and she has a lot to share with us. But we have a tradition here, Danielle, on this program where I can share your resume and your CV. I already hinted at some of it. Best-selling author. You have written a book about weight loss and really keeping it off. Really focusing a lot on both women and men, but women can be a little harder to keep the weight off or get it off because of hormone influxes. But tell us from your own personal take, because as a journalist, that's my heart. That's near and dear to my heart. What drives you to be the advocate you are for health and nutrition and weight loss? Is this a personal story? And if it is, share something with us about it in the next 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely a personal story. I've been on this journey pretty much my entire life. I grew up with a sick mother that ended up dying very young of breast cancer. And then I decided I wanted to be the healthiest I can be. I studied nutrition and yoga and all these healing modalities. I worked in the top functional medicine clinics. I was teaching yoga all over Manhattan. Then I ended up getting cancer at 30, Lyme disease at 37, long COVID, a few years after that. And I went through all these health challenges while being this person who never wanted to get sick. So I realized that health is not just about being skinny or just looking good.
That's
It's
right.
really about feeling good overall, mind, body, spirit. So I think that it's shifted the way that I look at health. It's not just about aesthetics, but really, how do you embody that health? How do you continue to feel well every day? And yeah, so I really try to help people to get in their bodies and be healthy on every level, not just looking a certain way, but really embodying that spirit of health.
I love that, Danielle. Thank you for sharing that and being so transparent and sharing your story, your testimony. Something you said really hit me. You said it's not just for looks or aesthetics. And I think so many times, perhaps here in the United States, as women, right, just to be real, and we have men listening and watching us tonight, shout out to everyone watching us as well of all generations. But a lot of times we say we want to lose the weight for the vacation, for the wedding, right, for the photo shoot. We do. You're obviously a woman, a beautiful person as well, and I'm sure as well as inside. Talk to us before we talk about the physical part of losing, how mentally and emotionally we need to be doing it for the right reasons of health, which is much more bigger than looking great on air.
Well, this is why a lot of times I know people look for quick fixes like GLP-1 drugs, all this kind of things. And I understand why people do it. But sometimes those shortcuts don't allow us to go through the process of changing our lifestyle.
Right.
So when we really take on the path of changing our lifestyle, which means that we dedicate ourselves to start moving every day and exercising and food shopping differently and eating differently and sharing that with our families and really making that a way of life, that's really what's important. And that's really how it's going to stick. If you're like, oh, I want to lose 20 pounds for this wedding, but you're not really changing your lifestyle, yeah, you may lose it. You can fast, or you can take a drug, or you can do something, but it's not going to be a long standing change. And that's what I try to help people with, to have them completely change their lives. And then the weight will stay off, the health will get better, the cholesterol will be better, they're less susceptible to having, blood sugar issues and
That's right.
cardiovascular issues, all that kind of stuff that we have to think about.
Yeah. But I've got to ask the first question, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you're tuning in right now, you are watching award-winning podcast program, Let's Talk America, with host Shana Thornton. I am Shana, your on-air host, obviously, and your executive producer. We are talking to the one and only Danielle Pashko. She is a health advocate, a nutritionist who has a modern take on eating right. And she wants you not just to lose the pounds and be skinny or slim, if you will, right? If that comes from it, Danielle, I'm sure you're like, if that's what they want, great. But you really want us to focus on the health, what the numbers are saying at the provider's office, that dyslipidemia, that blood pressure, that fasting blood sugar, and that A1C, right?
Right. And also the nervous system too, because we don't think about how stress really affects our body in terms of our weight. It can make us stress eat, or when our nervous system is out of balance, we know about cortisol. The cortisol gets elevated, and then we can't lose the weight. It can affect our thyroid and affect our hormones. So when we're in that sympathetic state of the nervous system and we're constantly in the fight or flight, that's not a good thing. So I really try to bring people back with eating the right foods that help to downregulate their nervous system, movements that help the nervous system. Herbs are very good for the nervous system.
Oh.
So that's why all of these things really, it's like a matrix of everything together that really makes it stick.
I love that. And I love that you're being practical. You brought up stress and how that affects the nervous system and
Yeah.
how that can prevent us as well from losing weight. Let's tackle the first big question that I think maybe the elephant in the room. Why is it so hard for so many people? I don't care if you are in South America, Africa, if you're in the Middle East, here in North America. Why does it seem to be so hard to lose the weight? Give it to us real, Danielle.
I mean, there's a number of reasons. One, the quality of food in the United States is just really lousy. So, and the things that are more affordable are worse for you. So it's like the processed foods are cheaper, the healthy foods are more expensive, and economically, like, that makes a difference. But then also it's just, people love consumption and it makes you feel good. You start getting chemicals in your body like dopamine and serotonin when you eat a lot. And it's hard for people to stick to the goals of managing their nutrition, managing their exercise, and peer pressure, going out, family, oh, why aren't you eating? Come on, I made you something, I baked you something. So learning to set those boundaries and not feeling bad about hurting people's feelings, but doing it in a kind way,
Yeah,
where you just, because that is an issue.
it is.
So yeah, but it's really about adjusting your lifestyle, and it's a commitment, and not everyone's ready for that, but it is committing yourself to taking on practices that are going to make a change.
Yeah. And speaking of the change, right? You're saying we can do it, but we have to be real with ourselves. Because I think you're right. And I think even when it comes to loved ones, right? And I'm all about positive affirmations, extremely positive person here, Care Bear in the house,
Yeah.
right? But I think you're hinting at something that I do want to tackle. You're saying that we do have to be brutally honest with ourselves, right? And Danielle, I want to be clear because you're a nutritionist and I'm not. I'm sure the person that you are in your advocacy, you're saying celebrate the beauty you are in every body shape, right? Or size, right? Everybody's not going to be a size 4, right?
To a degree, but there's also a point where it gets unhealthy. So
Okay.
I'm to be fair, like you can be beautiful at any size, and that's
Mhm.
fine, but you just want to make sure that you don't have too much visceral fat, because
Good
that can
point.
that can be a problem. It can affect your health. and other things can, when you have too much extra weight, it can cause inflammation in the body, which can
Mhm.
lead to diabetes and things like that. So it's important to be at a healthy size, but that doesn't have to be a size
Yeah.
6 or a 4 or a 2. It just
Okay.
to be healthy, and that's what we're looking for,
Yeah.
healthy.
The
Yes.
healthy part. And thank you for addressing that and being transparent as a health advocate and a health expert. You're saying love yourself. I'm sure that's what you're saying. But
100%. Love
you,
yourself. Just
yeah,
be healthy. I mean, I know very thin people who look great, but they're not healthy. And then
yeah,
people who are a lot, who are fuller figure, and they're
yeah,
really healthy.
yeah.
So it's just, it's also about lifestyle, their constitution,
That's
but
right.
really, really like, and you've touched on something in terms of being realistic with your goals. We need to be
Yes.
realistic with our goals. And that's why New Year's resolutions fail, or people don't continue with going to the gym, or because they're like, oh, I'm going to do spin class every single morning, and then I'm just 1,200 calories a day. Dude, it's not, who lives like that?
I'm laughing, maybe perhaps guilty of that myself.
Oh, okay.
But I appreciate you breaking that up, that we have to set real goals,
Real.
right, to make sure that we're reaching them and making them practical. Are you really, as a working person, going to get to spin class every day? Maybe some people might, but if you've got to be in or on the road by 6:30 a.m., you need to be practical, because I know we're probably likely going to touch on this. You're a nutritionist, so food is key, but I'm sure we also need to be getting our rest. How much does that play into making sure our stress levels are balanced and we're getting the weight loss that we need?
It is so critical. Sleep is everything. It
Mhm.
it it cleans our lymphatic system, which is in our brain at
That's
night.
right.
It helps to rejuvenate us, to make us think better. When we're tired, we're hungrier, we
Yeah.
feel lousy, we don't have energy to work out, we make really poor decisions with our food if we don't sleep. So it's everything. And I know it's hard if, like, you work a night shift, or you're a new mom or something like
Mhm.
that, but we really have to prioritize sleep, and really, like, prioritize just doing things that make it easy for yourself. So if you think, oh, I have to go to the gym every day, you're already setting up an obstacle. Not saying the gym is not good. The gym's great. But maybe learning how to do practices that you can do from home. So even if it's just 20 minutes, you're like, at least you didn't totally lose a workout. And I think that's important. With eating, making it easy. If you, even myself, like, I'm always been very conscious of how much money I spend on food. So I go to farmers
Okay.
markets. I'll shop at Trader Joe's. I'll take a Sunday where I buy things in bulk, and I try to save money, but I try to get everything really healthy from nature, from the earth, that has a high vibration that's going to give me more energy. So with food, I plan it, and I think planning is super important. And
Yeah.
also, I'm very into herbs too.
Okay.
Ayurveda is a system that comes from ancient Indian wisdom, and Ayurvedic herbs are so good because work. They can work with the nervous system. So, for example, ashwagandha is very good. But have you heard of it, ashwagandha?
I have, and I know that's a tongue twister. So say that two more times for us, Danielle.
Ashwagandha,
Ashwagandha.
ashwagandha. It's so good for the nervous system, which helps to regulate our cortisol levels. If we need more energy, it's an adaptogen, meaning it adapts to our body. So if we need more energy, it can help to energize us. But also, if we need to just chill out, it can help us to relax. So that's great. And even now, there's an emerging science that I just wanted to share about called quantum Ayurveda, which it it actually works by tuning Ayurvedic herbs with an energetic frequency, which makes it more bioavailable. So this is a new technology that I'm very interested in. And I feel like energy is really the path to keeping us on track, whether it's
Yes.
energy through food, energy through our movements. I think even music can be really great to get us motivated. Staying super hydrated is very important.
Okay.
We have to drink a lot of water, and that, that's very important for ourselves. But we need to stay motivated. So keeping the energy up keeps us consistent with our goals.
I love that. And energy is so key because when we talk about being active, and I love that you said something, it didn't necessarily require the high memberships at gyms, right? Not knocking gyms, but you did say if it's 20 minutes dedicated at home doing something, and we've got to have the energy to be physical. Danielle, we've got the questions rolling in live for you because this is a live segment, everybody, on Let's Talk America with host Shana Thornton podcast radio. And I'm super excited. We have a world debut here for she's not a newbie or novice to the media circus. She's been on international media programs, but she is new to Let's Talk America. So excited. We're talking about the one and only Danielle Pashko as she is with us. She's a nutritionist, best-selling author, a health advocate, and a weight loss expert. And the first question is out of Dr. K. She's an educator out of Atlanta, Georgia. Her question for you is a real one. She says, I'm a teacher, okay, on TikTok. And the big issue now is how the job is impacting our health. What advice can you give?
How the job of being a teacher is impacting health.
Yeah, she's saying that, and what I'm gathering from this, Dr. K, if you want to help us more, I think it's trending on TikTok that teachers are stressed. There's a lot going on. We know that. Shout out to teachers. Some of my favorite people in the world are educators. Love you all for what you do for our youth and others. She's saying that it right now is trending a big issue, that the job of being an educator is impacting the health of others. What advice can you give those such as teachers that are super swamped and busy throughout the day where they're not able necessarily to move around much because they're probably likely stuck in a classroom?
With most jobs, it is hard to move around, unfortunately, but I mean, you don't really get that many breaks. It's like if you get a little break, try to get outside, try to move around a little bit. But yeah, it may take until the end of the day to be able to get much done. But at least at the very least, maybe pack some good quality food before you get to work. I used to be a nutritionist for a day school, and I had some uh, control over the kitchen. So we had really good quality food, but I wish schools would do that. But otherwise, I would say bring the best quality food that you have to the school. And since you probably get there very early in the morning, maybe your exercise is going to be done later. But I mean, stress also, even try working. We talked about the nervous system, some ashwagandha. Maybe that could help bring down. Yeah, it's great. It may help to bring down some of the just the stress, and like little taking deep breaths even between classes. There has to be a break time, even if it's 2 minutes, and
That's right.
close your eyes and do some deep breathing and just get into that zone.
I
For
love
some
it.
people to do that in between sessions.
Okay, so you're saying mentally do what you need to do to get there to try to take a break, even though physically you may still be swamped. Ashwagandha, Denisha out of Atlanta says, yes, I take it. She says,
Ah,
thumbs up. Dr. K says, exactly. I think we were hitting on our point. She said, we're having a lot of autoimmune system issues, teachers and others. Let's tackle that real quick. We do have other questions. We're going to get to them. We want your questions and concerns and comments, affirmations. If you disagree with Danielle, let us know too. She is here to take on those questions. Because many of you say, if I ever got a nutritionist in a room, I would ask her this, and this about herbs. You have the opportunity right now. Let's Talk America Radio Podcast. Danielle is with us. She's taking your questions in real time. Okay. So she talks about autoimmune system concerns. That seems to be up right now in the United States overall, likely globally too. Danielle, help us. Does that have to do with nutrition, hormones, or maybe a little bit of genetics and environmental concerns go into it? Help
we've
us.
done so many things. Environmental, we're seeing autoimmune issues. We're seeing autoimmunity come from our foods, definitely stress, hormones, all of this. Autoimmunity is rampant right now. And unfortunately, it's something that really has to make us look at what we're eating, and working on having an anti-inflammatory diet is very important for autoimmunity, because when you're dealing with autoimmunity, your body's attacking itself. It's full of
Mhm.
inflammation. So really making that a priority, and making sure you're eating really good quality food. So something to look into maybe could be the AIP diet, which is an autoimmune protocol. And a lot of these diets are not meant to do long term, but temporarily, just to give your body a reset. So autoimmune protocol is eliminating a lot of grains, a lot of vegetables that may have anti-nutrients that could cause inflammation. Also, if you're having fish, have it wild. If you're having meat, try to have it grass fed, that sort of thing. I mean, it's
Yes.
we have to work on it, but it's worth working on because autoimmunity is a real issue, and I
Yeah.
people with that. Yeah.
It is. Thank you for that great health information. If you're watching us right now, if you're watching the replay or watching us live, we love it and we thank you. Of course, the information that Danielle is giving is very helpful for your specific concerns. Make sure you're seeing your own direct healthcare provider and expert that knows your history and they're looking at it as well. And she brought something up when people do suggest perhaps different programs. She did say some of them are not meant to be long term, and that's so important. That's why you talk to an expert one
Yeah.
on one like Danielle. When she's looking at your health records, she's able to help. So that is so key. Great questions. Thank you, Dr. K, for getting that in. Morris out of Atlanta Metro has a great question. He's saying, is losing weight too fast healthy? I've seen people have health issues after losing weight. Okay, that's a great question, Danielle. We talk about weight loss. I don't want to target one particular drug class, but you know there's one right now
Yeah.
that is trending, and national and global celebrities are on it, and we've seen some drastic changes in a matter of months. And some of us have thought, just visually looking, we're not experts like you, Danielle, but we're like, wow, they really dropped the weight really quick, and they don't always necessarily look as vibrant as
Right.
perhaps we're used to them looking. Thanks, Morris, for that question. Is losing weight too fast healthy? And I maybe you're likely going to say it depends on how you lose it, right? Just a good guess.
Well, it depends on how you lose it, but slow and steady and consistently. But when you do lose weight too quickly, you can lose your hair, which women don't want to. It's like, really, but yeah,
Yeah.
you can definitely lose hair. Also, you can develop gallstones. It
Mm.
it can affect your thyroid. It can affect your overall hormones. Also, women don't want to get too skinny because that affects our hormone production. Estrogen comes from fat. So
Yes,
having,
it
having a
does.
little meat on your bones is not a bad thing. I mean, that
Okay.
that is those are the building blocks of hormones, fat. So that's something that you want to think about, and not lose weight too quickly, even for men as well. So it's
Yeah.
it's important to be in a on a program where you're consistent and you're regimented, but you definitely don't like this rapid
Yeah.
weight loss. That's not good.
To Morris's point, I once worked in healthcare marketing, and what I would hear some experts warn against is, get skinny fast type fads or diets that are out there. Many of them that exist that have gone global, right? And some are still popular. But what will people do? They'll lose 35 pounds, right, within a few months. And then literally you see them 4 months later and the weight's back on. And I've always heard there can be a concern of the influctuated weight on organs, especially on the kidneys. Is that true that you do have to be mindful of weight
That,
influctuation?
also, in that sense, yes,
Mhm.
it definitely can be very hard on the organs. Our body is just not meant to go through these
I see.
just like that. I mean, we really need to go through like the natural cycle of our body, and honor our natural rhythms. And I feel like when we try to do all this unnatural stuff, whether it's eat unnaturally, or not take care of ourselves, or do these crazy workouts, or like our body doesn't like that. It's not biologically like in sync. And that's
Yeah.
why I try to do things that are really like going back to nature, going back to basics,
Yeah.
because I think we need to connect with our biological rhythm, and be kind of in harmony with that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Everyone that's tuning in, thank you. Get your questions, comments, and concerns in. Many people often say, if I had a food expert, a nutritionist in front of me, I'd love to ask her this, and that about the bacon I'm eating in the morning, or perhaps the oranges I'm allowing my kids to eat that may be genetically reclassified or engineered that was not around 35 years ago. This is your opportunity. The one and only Danielle Pashko is on with us out of Miami, Florida. She's a best-selling author and also a nutritionist. She's toured all over the world speaking about weight loss and keeping a healthy food diet. And she wants us to be practical. And I love that. She mentioned earlier, not everybody's going to be a size 2 or 4. That's okay. But she does want you to be your healthiest, okay? Being practical and real with yourself. Denisha says, this is so good. Okay, Denisha has a question for you. And this is a hot topic. And thank you, Denisha, being out of Atlanta Metro. And she's She's actually originally from Miami,
Oh,
Danielle, so a fellow Miami in here. She says, Danielle, what are your thoughts on GLP-1 for weight loss? I'm going to say this, it's all the trend. So many celebrities are on it. Everyone seems to be on it. I know at least 20 people that are on it. Some of them are recognizable, some of them are not. But what is your take as a nutritionist who just told us you believe slow and steady wins the long term race? Help
yeah.
us out.
I mean, going back to what I was saying earlier with GLP-1s, I think we bypass the track of taking these steps to really work on our health. That's going to make it stick. And it's like taking, that magic pill, and then suddenly, like, later on, you're noticing like all these weird things creeping up, and it's scary. I mean, you could have health conditions that pop up, like the thyroid stuff, like the gallstones, like, you could have cardiovascular issues, you could have all kinds of things. But besides that, I think we bypass the work that we need to do to really change our lifestyle. And then it's like we're not really growing from it. And I think it's really important that I know it's hard when someone's like, but I've tried every diet and it hasn't worked.
That's right.
It's sometimes the way you're doing it, maybe you need to work with a nutritionist, maybe there's some little tweaks you need to have, maybe you need to lower your stress. Like, there's something that can be done, but doing that, I just don't think the health risks outweigh the benefits, honestly.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And it's a very popular drug class. I do know there's mixed messages.
I don't think the benefits outweigh the health. Sorry, I was like, it just
Okay, got it. No, I certainly get what you're saying. The benefits weighing the risk of it.
yeah,
And that's with most drug classes, to be honest, not just
totally.
this
Yeah,
GLP-1, but certain classes of any condition that are out there. There are health experts like you. Some love it, some don't. I've seen some, they're in between. They haven't quite made their minds up on it. But I will say some of the things you mentioned about losing weight too fast have happened to associates and friends of mine. There are women that have lost their hair from being on that class of drug.
definitely.
So it's real. It doesn't, no drug class, and you know this for sure, Danielle, comes without any risk or side effects.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. And that's the thing. You always have to look at that. And if you're at that place where, it's kind of, you have no choice, and you just,
Yeah.
but otherwise, for the typical person, try everything first, seek
Okay.
out help, do everything else you can first.
That's fair. Thank you so much. Dr. K, the educator out of Atlanta Metro, says, never heard of that. I'm going to look into this. Oh, I can no longer digest beef nor pork. I think she's referencing when you said the autoimmune diets that may be helpful.
Oh, because you don't have to eat. They allow you to eat meat and pork and things like that, because sometimes it's more of like some of the autoimmune diets go a little carnivore, but you don't have to. You don't have
Okay.
to do that. So I don't eat pork,
Yes.
and
I
I
don't
don't.
either.
No, and I don't eat that much meat, but you can have things like wild salmon's really good.
Okay.
Any kind of wild fresh fish is good. You can have
Okay.
chicken. You can have turkey. I mean, there's so many things that you can have that are very good, that are good for sardines are amazing for autoimmunity. I mean,
Okay.
they're terrific. They're such a great brain food. They're great for autoimmunity. So honestly, there's so much you can eat. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Awesome. I love that. Dr. K moves, she's bringing another comment. She says, I'm moving away from soft drinks to fruit smoothies. That's a great point. Sodas dominate the Western culture. You know that, Danielle.
You do.
Um,
But smoothies also dominate our current culture too, and like these sugar bomb smoothies that people have also, that make it impossible to lose the weight. So like, you got the smoothie and the chia seeds and the 2 tablespoons of peanut butter and the big banana, and then the creatine and the collagen, and before you know it, you have this like massive 800 calorie shake. It's like, everything's from Whole Foods, but it's not. So, no.
It reminds me of the salad trend that took place years ago when people were like, I'm eating salad,
Oh
but they
my
would have this much ham and ranch dressing on it.
God. Exactly. Yeah.
You are watching your award winning Let's Talk America with host Shana Thornton podcast. And we are highlighting nutrition, how to eat healthy, how to lose weight, how to keep the weight off, and not being obsessed with just a size of being skinny, but focusing on the right numbers, where you are, and how stress plays a part in that. I'm Shana, of course, the on air host, and I have Danielle on with us, Danielle Pashko, and she is a nutritionist helping us out with this. Morris says thumbs up. Lee out of Atlanta said, so true. don't think she's referring to what you were saying about sticking to a healthy diet. All right, we've got more questions in coming in. Dr. K is smiling and saying great information. She wanted us to know that she loves sardines. My
Oh,
father does too.
I wish I did. I try to eat them a lot more often, but
Yeah.
not my
Yeah. So
favorite.
thank you. We also have someone with us. This is the Franklin crew. And I'm sorry if I hope I'm saying this right. Claude Franklin is saying, how do you feel about meat and vegetables only for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Hmm.
So first of all, it depends on the quality of meat because you want to make sure that it's grass fed, that it's not pumped up with hormones and antibiotics, and but that shouldn't be a long term diet regardless. There are certain exceptions for certain people. I think everyone is bio individual, so just take a look at the lab work. Meat based on if someone has lab work that shows that they have a predisposition to high cholesterol or high blood pressure, or they have gallbladder issues or things like that, they really don't want to have a lot of meat because it could definitely be problematic long term. I know carnivore is trending right now and people are doing that. So yes, you may lose weight that way, but will it be the best for your health is a different story. And that's what I was talking about in the beginning. You could get thin or skinny, but that doesn't always equate health.
Yeah,
So
good point.
it's something that there's nothing wrong with eating meat and having it as part of your diet. But would I eat it all the time, breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Probably not, unless there was a specific reason you were doing it.
Okay. Okay. And thank you for pointing that out, that it's just not about being skinny, but for the right reasons, because we do want to know, and I'm sure you'll emphasize this, Danielle, we want to know our cholesterol numbers. We need to know our A1C, our fasting blood sugar. Yeah, we need to know those things, and even iron, because like to her point, it tells you what we need to be eating, what's working and what's not. Because if we have high cholesterol, dyslipidemia, I would likely think, Danielle, I'm no nutritionist, but we may want to possibly lay off meat. Not saying that would get us to the perfect ideal number, but it likely may help.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah,
You definitely
yeah,
want to limit your meat intake if you have
yeah.
any high cholesterol or cardiovascular issues or things like that, for sure.
Yeah, such great information. When we know better, we do better. And thank you so much. And that is actually Mrs. Franklin. She's a first lady at a beautiful church in Atlanta Metropolitan. She asked that question. So thank you for tuning in with us, Mrs. Franklin. We certainly appreciate you, beautiful lady. Dr. K says she doesn't do that at all. The smoothies with all the extra
Okay.
things. She even gave a yucky face. Says no, thank you. Thank you, Dr. K, for joining us. Morris out of Atlanta Metro has another question for us. He says, do you refer counseling to people who are on a weight loss journey? Weight loss can be an addiction. Wow. I guess the weight loss can, and I'm going to tackle both for him, Danielle, for you to take on. I guess he's saying food can likely be an addiction. And I think that's certainly upfront and prevalent for a lot of people in America, for sure, and probably other countries that have access to the same types of food we have. So he's got a point. Does counseling, psychological treatment help when you're addicted to it? I don't think he was talking about this, but I guess the other extreme would be someone who's battling um, uh, battling not wanting to eat, such as anorexia, bulimia. I don't think that's likely as high as the addiction to food. Is that fair to say, Danielle?
It's mixed. I work with people who have eating disorders on both ends of the spectrum. People who restrict themselves and lean more towards anorexia, and then there's other people who have binge eating disorder and they do it because it helps. They may be good all day and then suddenly it gets to a certain hour and then they just start eating and it becomes addictive and then they can't not only can't lose the weight, but then they start feeling shame and they go through this whole thing, and it's like a psychological thing that needs to be worked through. So yeah, there's a lot of emotions attached to food for sure.
Yeah, I think I've heard Oprah Winfrey, I'm paraphrasing her, but talk about her a previous relationship with food, right? And we're in America, and we're in the Southeast. You're in Miami right now. We're out of Atlanta, of course. And a lot of different cultures and segments throughout the world. This is global. Food is a sign of love, right? I mean, if you come over, I offer you a cupcake. I made you my special chili bean soup. And something you hit on earlier, and I want you to tackle right now for Morris leading into his question. I don't think food is the enemy, but I think perhaps it's our obsession with too much of it is probably really the problem. And I once had a dietitian on this show, and she said it's not the slice of cake, Shana, that's the problem. It's the three slices later within an hour. Is that true?
To a degree, there's some nuance, but I would say that, yeah, I mean, having cake, a special occasion, something like that, if it's recreational once in a while, sure, not the end of the world. If you're having a piece of cake every night, one, not three, that's not really so good. Um, but it is a lot about how much you eat of something for sure, but really just adopting healthy habits and not being pulled into, unfortunately, people kind of like food pressuring you, because that can be a real thing. So you still really want to eat healthy, and try to avoid the junk, even if it's not a big portion of it, like not having the processed foods. Yeah.
Yeah.
So really doing the food shopping, really planning, and if you're in a family that's like that, like be the example, be the person who goes out and food shops and just like,
Okay.
I'll take the lead, that sort of thing.
Okay. I love that. Speaking of shopping for groceries, Denisha's back with us out of Atlanta Metropolitan, fellow in Miami. And she's saying, what is your favorite food supermarket? Hers is Aldi. She says it's very cost efficient. I want to talk about that. And I want to dig a little deeper into Denisha's question, because depending on where someone lives in the United States, and also if you're in Europe, wherever you are, you know this is true, Danielle, people can be around food deserts, which simply means, for those that don't know listening, there can be fresh raspberries and fresh grapes and fresh blueberries more so on one side of town versus the other. And you can say, well, you can drive across town, but that takes food, that takes money, and it takes time. What do you do if you find yourself in a food desert at your job or where you live? Because, economics is tough.
It is tough. And the point of Aldi is actually it's a good place to shop if you can. I think it's owned the same. I think it's the same company as Trader Joe's.
Oh, okay.
I think Trader Joe's is a little better because they have more organic. But if
Mhm.
you're in a food desert and you don't have the option, then just really try to get as many fresh fruits and vegetables. Like work with what you can, scrub
Okay.
them really well. Maybe get like a good type of like scrubbing agent that you can at least clean your vegetables very well. Try to if you can, there may not be the most grass fed. So if you can, maybe some talk about the sardines, maybe if tuna once a week, not too much for the mercury. Also, even like
Right.
tofu. I know that sounds crazy, but if you can get non-GMO tofu, like that's something you can have that can be healthy. That can be like you can mix it up. Maybe find seafood if you can find it in your grocery store. Just things that are accessible to you. Not everything is going to be perfect,
Yeah,
but you
that's
have to
right.
work with what you can.
Yeah, thank you so much. Great information from the one and only Danielle Pashko. She is with us. She is a award-winning, best-selling author, nutritionist as well. She's a food advocate, and she doesn't make food the enemy, but she's talking about making sure we're choosing the right ones. I want to tackle two things and get your questions in because we're about to wrap up, everybody. The questions have been flooding in. Danielle, you've done an amazing job answering and tackling them on. Let's give us your thoughts. If you have an addiction to a certain food, if you want to know more about salt intake for you, let us know. Are you hypertensive? A lot of Americans are, okay? So come on, listeners and viewers of Let's Talk America podcast, get those questions in. You have a nutritionist that's willing to give you some valid answers right now. Don't miss this opportunity. She's with us, and she, again, is taking on your hard questions as well as your fun ones. I've got two questions for you. One, we know that people go through hormonal changes, especially females, right? And a lot of times as women get to the 40 stage, perimenopause is real. We've done shows with it, talking to gynecologists about it. She's talked about the physical side of it. Let's talk food right now. You know that hormonal influxes for some people, especially women. Men have hormonal changes too, but women, it's very prevalent around that perimenopause stage. Some women will all of a sudden report, as you know, they become hungry. And let's talk about, and you mentioned it more so when people with dealing with bulimic at the end of the day, or maybe they're really restrictive. But if all of a sudden they're hungry and they're finding themselves wanting and needing to eat, and they're 45 years old, perhaps, what would be your advice for that woman who desperately does not want to be overweight, but her body is saying, you need the chocolate, eat the chocolate?
Maybe they're not getting enough of the nutrition that's satiating them. So maybe have some protein or smaller meals
Okay.
throughout the day. Make sure to drink enough so you're staying hydrated, so you're not,
Yeah.
so you're not getting as hungry. Also, you want to make sure that your blood sugar is regulated. So along with the protein, having snacks, things like that. Speaking about Ayurveda, and we're talking about herbs, even berberine is an Ayurvedic herb that helps to regulate blood sugar. And when you have blood sugar under control, that can sometimes help you with cravings. So
Okay.
it may be something to look into, berberine as an Ayurvedic.
Berberine. Okay. Awesome. And I was going to ask you as well, and get your questions in, everyone, as we begin to wrap up. Give us your top three herbs or supplements. And if it's four or five, let us know. I know you already mentioned one big one, but what would you give those that would help with just keeping a balanced diet, if it's weight loss needed or not, but just want it to be the best they can? And I've got to say this, keeping the immune system up.
Yes. For immune health, also a really good probiotic makes a lot of sense, because everything is about our gut health, right? Our
Okay.
gut and our brain are completely interconnected. So poor gut health creates poor brain health. Also, it can cause inflammation throughout the body. So a good probiotic is really foundational. And it also does help the immune system, since 70 to 80% of our immune system lives in our gut. So
All right.
that's definitely something, as far as that goes. Then I think, speaking on the herbal side, like I said, blood sugar balance. I really think it really depends on what you need. Like that's the one thing about supplements, and I see a lot of influencers, and they're like, do take these 5 supplements, and it has to be for what you need it for. One person's perfect supplement, doesn't make sense for another person.
That's
So
right.
really, depending on, if you ask me, like, I have this condition, I'll tell you what herb I think is the best.
Hmm.
It's hard to say, but I will tell you that a really good probiotic is
Okay.
foundational.
And that's helpful. And also, I guess this is a great time to say, if when we're going to our providers, right, that we're getting those blood tests, so we know. I think one of the
So critical. I mean, just something as simple like iron, right? So we can have
yeah,
iron deficiency, which is so prevalent and people don't know. And that can make you so tired and just not knowing. And that, like, one little supplement, or vitamin D, can be low. And we don't
yeah, that's
know.
right.
You're low in magnesium and you're not sleeping
That's
well.
right.
Suddenly it's just a magnesium deficiency. So we need to have the blood work to really know what we're lacking and what we
Okay.
need to work on.
So key, and great point, because if we don't know, we don't know. And I think one of the things, and you're a nutritionist, so and you're a real person, and that's what we love. And what a great segment with you, Danielle. People fear the doctor. I don't need to tell you that, right? You're Because you're a real person, and obviously you're a huge health advocate, but you know real people. We all do, and they fear the doctor because in their minds, every time I go, I leave with a list of things they need to be doing, from losing weight to doing this, and so they get drained. And I think that keeps people away longer than they should. And what happens with that, Danielle, they're missing screenings, they're missing mammograms, they're missing the colonoscopy, they're missing what their A1C is and fasting blood sugar. And to your point, if you don't know, you don't know. How key is it to get over the fear that maybe it was passed on by grandmother 2 generations ago? Maybe it was passed on by something they saw themselves, to be able to be resilient and brave enough to say, I need to know so I can tackle these health concerns that may be looming.
Absolutely. It sounds so cliche, but the knowledge is power is true. You really need to find out what's going on in your body. And the sooner you find out, the more you can do about it, the more that gives you some agency to say, okay, I know I'm at the very beginning of this issue with my blood sugar. It's pre-diabetes. I don't have diabetes yet. Or, my stress numbers, my heart's not looking so good. Maybe I really need to start relaxing and doing things to calm down, because I'm on my way to a heart attack. So I need to start doing this.
That's right.
So we really need to know so we can prepare ourselves. I think it's very important.
Yeah, yeah. And not find out. years later when it could have been addressed, right? Because I
Absolutely.
think like anything, we know they're very, yeah, we know they're very aggressive conditions out there. But one of the things they keep saying is the earlier you find and detect it, the better chance of surviving and beating it, right?
1,000%. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so key. Morris has another question. Thank you for your engagement tonight, sir. Why do a lot of people struggle with intestinal problems when losing weight? Like their organs are too big for a small frame. Take that one, Danielle.
Why they're dealing with intestinal problems. I mean, it could be that they're not eating the right. I mean, intestinal problems can be related to so many different things.
Mhm.
It can be
That's right.
related to a poor diet. It can be related to, if you're taking GLP-1s, you could have side effects.
That's right.
It's kind of a broad question. I don't know exactly how to answer that, but there is definitely a correlation. And we have to work on really doing things in a smart, intelligent way. And
Mhm.
if you really want to lose the weight and you're not sure how, work with a professional that can guide you through it. So you're not having these issues. And also intestinal problems, like you can also work with certain herbs and supplements and things like that to try to bring down some of the inflammation. So I think that could
Yeah.
also.
Yeah, such a great point. I do want to add, and I would think this would be the case for some people. Some people have pre-existing gastro problems
Yeah.
anyway, right? And I think that's key to bring up because I know many people growing up that said, oh, their stomach was always giving them problems. They were always in and out of a gastro doctor's office for whatever reason. And I think sometimes what happens in the secular world, they go and they get on a drug, and it can be even something simple as antihypertensive. See, the blood pressure medicine gave them stomach issues, and what was not presented, these people have had gastro concerns most of their life,
Yeah.
right? And it's a little unfair sometimes to put it on that caused it when a lot of people perhaps can have sensitive tummies for different reasons.
Right. It just maybe worsened something that was already like lingering, and then it was sort of, putting salt on the wound, adding this extra medicine, or it wasn't like they were starting with a robust digestive system and then
Correct. I was fine before I went to that doctor, Danielle.
yeah.
Just keep in mind to everyone out there and reminding myself, people tell you what they want you to know. So they may be leaving that little key nugget out of it. Danielle, as we begin to close up, I guess it's a great time to bring up when he was talking about, and I'm bringing up that people don't always are not as upfront. We have something at our fingertips now that is beautiful, but something that can be misleading, and it's called AI. And we can put anything into a search engine, including how to lose weight and, and how to fix a gastro problem. And what does this headache mean? How important is it from your professional viewpoint to continue? Oh, you have a fur baby.
Oh, yeah. You're still on? Yeah.
To continue to make sure we're seeing health experts and advocates like you, not knocking search engines, and AI is wonderful pulling everything together. But it can also lead to misdiagnosis. And if you're not seeing a healthcare provider, putting all of that into a search engine and saying, now AI, give me the answer, is not a replacement for a nutritionist, a dietitian, or an MD or DO. Help us out.
You said it perfectly. I mean, they just don't know your specific situation. They don't know the background. God forbid something happens where something's missed now because you didn't have that screening and you're leaving it to AI. So nothing replaces the real thing. If you want to do some maintenance here and there and you want to dabble with AI, it's not a bad tool to ask it some basic questions. Hey, I want to go food shopping and what are some healthy
Correct.
options? That's fine. But you have to go get your screenings, and really for losing weight in a healthy way or dealing with autoimmunity or something like that, it's really best to work with a professional.
I love it. Great information. And so don't ask it about specific health concerns and also your love life. I had to get that out there because they said one of the top questions
Oh
people
yeah.
were asking AI, should they stay in a relationship?
True. I hear this. Yeah.
Just important to your point, there's nothing like the real advocacy and expert that knows what's going on with you. Dr. K out of Atlanta says the fruit is very fresh. I'm assuming you're talking about Aldi's, right? Aldi's, yeah. So she's saying it's very fresh. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Danielle, for being on with us. What a great, powerful segment that's empowering. Dr. K's laughing. I think she's talking about probably the AI part about she just saying the relationship. Real story. That is happening. People are asking AI that. She's laughing, but it's real, y'all. Real life, true story. Before you get out of here, Danielle, any last minute questions, send them in now. I'm going to put the spotlight on you, Danielle, to tell us it's 2026. Um, People are continuing in this country and the world to battle with obesity. And you and I know it's bigger than the scale. Yeah, the number can say one thing. You want to be a size 8, but you're 18 or 20. But you said something real. It's the numbers that drives it. And the high cholesterol, the high blood pressure untreated or not being addressed, all of those things can lead to serious incidents that can be fatal, such as a stroke, such as aneurysm, such as heart attacks. This is your time for the next minute or so to make a case why we have to get intentional in this year at this time about losing these unhealthy pounds.
Well, inflammation is what happens when you're holding on to too much weight. And inflammation is the driver of any type of chronic illness, serious illness like cancer, diabetes, heart disease, anything like that. So we really need to bring down the inflammation. We need to be gentler with our organs. We need to really make sure that we're eating right, because if we're not, we're really setting ourselves up to be in a dangerous position. So it's very important to focus really on eating well, getting in your exercise, working on your cardiovascular health. All of this is critical. And it also, if you really take care of your body through nutrition, through taking the right herbs and supplements, through movement, through getting sunshine, through bringing down your stress levels, you won't need to see the doctor as much. You may need to go for your annual visit, and that's it. But it's really important. And you can, just through diet and lifestyle, can make such huge differences.
Wow, I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, Danielle, for simply putting it that it's so much we can do with a diet and a lifestyle. And I guess I've got to ask you this: it can be hard, right? I think I don't know why we can't hear you. Wait,
Oh, it said
there we go.
it can be hard, but
Mhm.
once it becomes a way of life, it actually becomes enjoyable, and it's who
That's
you
right.
are, and it goes from hard to actually being pleasant. And so I live for a healthy lifestyle. Like,
Yeah.
health is just who I am. So it's not hard to me now.
Yeah. And just imagine, I say this for all of us, once we achieve it, once we lose the weight that we don't, that
Yeah.
again, it's not about being skinny, it's about your health.
Yeah.
Once we accomplish that, how good we feel about ourselves and walking with new stride, Danielle.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, it is so cool. Thank you for being on with us, talking about a balanced nutrition, talking about losing weight, keeping the weight off. You touched on so many different angles. She made her case, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for us to lose the weight. May we all listen and have one amazing year of 2026. It's March. Happy Women's History Month. Happy International Women's Day to everyone out there. There's some amazing trailblazing women that are here that are making differences. If you're known or not, I salute you. There are many unknown women that are making differences in the lives of people they know. So not everybody makes headlines. Not everybody is on air. Not everybody is who we know to be on speaking circuit shows or tours. But you matter. And for the millions of women around the world raising children, producing the next leaders, the next nurses, doctors, nutritionists, podcasters, you have my love and salute to all that you do. And you keep pushing, ladies. We love you. Let's Talk America with host Shana Thornton podcast. We'll be back on again very soon, tackling the real issues that matter to you. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Rosalind. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Dr. K as well. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And make this month, this year, your best year yet. Let's Talk America offers real talk for real people, and that's you. You've got to stay tuned in. We love you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Robinson. We love you as well. And happy International Women's Day to everyone. Take care, everybody.